Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Milk and Screens,
This is so bizarre.
a new podcast with us, your boys. But who are your boys?
It's a great question.
If you don't know us personally, our names are Kyle and Jacob. I doubt that anyone listening to the first episode is going to be like,
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. But we are Kyle and Jacob.
For the record, it's Jacob currently. Well, he was introing. I'm Kyle.
And
That's
I'm
Jacob.
That's
there you
right.
go.
And obviously, we're new at podcasting too.
That must be clear by this point.
Yeah. And the idea behind this podcast is people have often told us that we have interesting conversations, interesting views, at times opposing views on different topics, and we thought we could monetize that. So we decided to start a podcast together and record it.
And I think definitely more than that, just to create. We've always wanted to do a podcast in general because we both love podcasts, and it seems like a fun thing to do. So we're doing it.
Yeah.
Also, the views that we have opposing things on, most of those things are not political things. This is not a political podcast.
Absolutely not.
About the views of the president and all that nonsense.
In fact, I'd like it if we never talked about the president.
I would
here.
love to not talk about politics on this. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and this is still in development, so we're still working on a lot of the ins and outs of this thing, but we're hoping we can this become a regular thing that maybe we can make some money off of this.
Yeah.
But for right now, it is just for fun. It's a very lighthearted thing, so we're just super excited to do something together.
Yeah, it didn't really cost that much money to get some pretty decent equipment, and it doesn't cost anything to just throw it out there onto the internet. So figured if not now living together, then when are we actually going to do it? So
yeah. Good segue, Kyle.
Thank you.
So we figured instead of just jumping right into it, we should probably introduce ourselves and introduce how we became friends, because some of you might only know one of us or none of us. So we figured we should just give a background and just jump right into it. So to start, we grew up in the same town together, going to the same church, and we probably met.
I think we were probably 7 years old, if I had to guess.
I think we've now assumed that 7 is,
I think
is
that's
the appropriate age.
That's
for
the
us
general
to-
assumption we give to everybody. So let's just throw it here too. 7 years old, we met.
We met at 7 years old, which we're now 22.
Yep.
Both of us. So, quick math, Kyle, go ahead.
15 years.
15 years. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I don't know. That's a nice.
It's a good number. It's
There we
a good
go.
just even but not even technically number.
Took the word right out of my mouth. Even, not even. So we've known each other for 15 years, and we didn't even really start out as best friends per se. We just kind of were associates, and really, we had
Associates.
we had a big group of friends that we were all close with at that time.
Yeah, if you've ever been in a church setting yourself, there's normally a huge group of people that end up being together, or like a youth group, and so we were all just very around each other all the time inside of church and at school, because those were the people that we were always the closest with. So we had a big group of friends.
Yeah. We're both from Crestview, Florida. I guess we can just say that.
Yeah, we're not famous. Who cares?
we're not famous yet, or whatever. Super small town in Florida.
In the Panhandle.
So, shortly after that, we went to the same high school, because there's only one high school. And
The Bulldogs.
go Crestview Bulldogs. And we were hanging around the same group of friends that we were going to church with at school, and having lunch with them, and fellowshipping with them at school. Until our 10th grade year, when we all had different lunches. And me and Kyle were the lone 2 people in one lunch. And why would we make other friends when we could just
be only each other's friends?
Yeah.
Why would I go meet new people when I can be better friends with this people?
Exactly. So we ate lunch together every single day.
Every day.
For 10th grade year.
And not in the lunchroom either. We ate in the room of a professor who allows kids to just kind of eat lunch in his room. professor. I've been in college too long. He's just a teacher.
He's just a teacher.
We ate lunch in his classroom every single day, where we were not alone. There were other little groups of 2 or 3 in there, but basically alone.
Yeah, a good setup. If I could say so myself. Thank you for setting that up, Kyle.
You're welcome.
But yeah, we ate lunch in there every day, and we had some really good times. We always talked, and I remember those times being some of the best times in high school.
Oh, for sure.
Just eating lunch together, and it's so crazy how our humor grew together, and like we grew to like the same things and the same people, like the same content and stuff like that, like on YouTube and stuff like that.
And there was a point, just to get a frame of reference of like how close we got at that point. There was a point that we both had a crush on the same girl at the same time. And so what we ended up doing, and I remember this so clearly, not that I remember what I wrote on it, but I definitely wrote up a contract on notebook paper. I didn't type anything or print it. I hand wrote a contract on notebook paper that was like a page front and back that said, you're not allowed to say anything to her, and I'm not allowed to say anything to her.
Nope.
We are solidarity brothers. Neither of us can have her because both of us can't have her. And we signed it with whatever signatures we had at the time, and I don't think we spoke about it ever again.
Yeah, I gotta admit, that's pretty weird now that I think about it.
That's so weird.
That like we made a contract over a girl, but regardless,
that's very high school.
That was 10th grade us, yeah, for sure. So after that, we both went to the same community college too, and
I don't even know the mascot. I was gonna say go mascot. I don't remember the mascot.
Go Raiders.
Raiders. I forgot about that completely. I hated that school.
Yeah, it wasn't the best school, but we both made it through.
Yeah, we did. But state college just feels like high school, but with less friends.
I guess.
Like, well, for me at least, I would just go and I would have whatever classes I had, and then I would drive right back home. Like, there's not like a community that's happening. Like, you're not in all these extracurriculars where you're making friends with other people that might be outside your classes, and you're not making friends with the people in your classes because none of you live near each other, so it doesn't even make sense to. Yeah. So you just kind of go to class and you leave, and it's still just desks in a room with 30 people. It feels exactly like high school, but you're paying for it now. It's not great.
I guess that, I mean, you kind of had different experiences at Northwest.
For sure.
And I'll agree with you. Like the first year that I was there and I wasn't a part of the arts program, that was a pretty similar thing. I did make a few little friends that I would go out to lunch with every once in a while.
Yeah, I had tiny little things just to help with homework or whatever.
And I still follow them on Snapchat, but like,
I still follow some of them too on Snapchat. Don't talk to them ever.
Yeah, never. But because I was at the arts program, and I was doing plays and like rehearsing with people, I actually obviously have friends that I still talk to, on a weekly basis and catch up with every once in a while. So I think that's probably where we, differ. I guess in a sense there are ways to and not to be involved at a state college.
For sure. But it just feels like there's so little to do. As for me, for instance, because I was going through to get my mechanical engineering degree. I was just getting my AA so that I could transfer to University of Florida. And I wasn't doing the arts like you were, and I love your friends that you made at the arts. I hung out with them a lot too.
Love y'all.
Because you made the friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I love those guys. But outside of them, I didn't make any other friends, and not really by choice, but as just kind of a side effect of being there. Like for me, the second I stepped on campus, I just had the life drained out of me, and I didn't want to be there.
Even though I was there.
But we were taking the same classes. I was taking all these some general sciences or like my Calc 2 and Cal 3 classes.
And I was taking jazz.
Which honestly would be so much fun to take, but I don't really get that leisure. And obviously neither of us are dogging state college. It helped me to have a job and save myself a whole lot of money before I transferred to university. So like it was great that I stayed home for a couple of years and did that, but just experience wise, when you just single out the college itself and the experience of me and the college was not great.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not dogging on State College, but I had a great time. I had a lot of fun, met new people, stayed in contact with some old friends from high school even, so that was pretty great times. So there was some time that we spent apart as well.
Right.
Because you and I started Northwest at the same time, but you were pretty much like a year ahead of me.
Yeah, so we both graduated high school in 2016, and then we both stayed at State College, and I stayed there for 2 years and got my AA, and then I transferred to the University of Florida in 2018. So the 2018-2019 school year, and then the 2019 to 2020 school year, I was here at UF, and Jacob was still back home.
Right.
And I was here making a whole bunch of new friends that I finally got to on a real college campus. People who...
A real college campus. You're going there. Jeez.
You know what I mean. People who I deeply love the way that you, I'm sure, deeply love the friends that you made at Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, so we had those 2 years, and obviously whenever I was back, we would always hang out every chance we got.
Yeah.
Just because we were best friends, and, you know, a Pokemon game would come out, and we would get super excited for it, and we would sit there and play it for hours because we're children.
We are children.
But now this semester, this being the fall of 2020,
mm-hmm.
I was obviously coming back to do my last year of my bachelor's. And back in January of this year, we had kind of thrown around the idea of living together while I was doing school here, and him trying to come down and get in the arts program. And then at the beginning of this year, at some point, we were just kind of like, I guess we just kind of did it. I don't really remember the sequence of events that happened that both of us said, let's get an apartment.
Well, there was this one little thing. What was it called? COVID.
That's right.
That happened. Honestly, I think without COVID, we probably wouldn't be living together.
Well, I don't know, because like I signed the lease for the apartment in January.
Right, but I'm saying, like, as far as I go, because this is how I remember it. I mean, this is only happened this year, but I auditioned at UF in January, and because of COVID, my transcripts got like lost in the mail from. I partly blame Northwest because they're notorious for losing transcripts, but they got lost like several times, and I sent multiple copies, and they kept saying my transcripts were not complete on UF's end.
That sounds like a state college.
Sure does. So I ended up not being able to go in the fall semester, but in June, I had to make a decision. This is after 3 months of eternal suffering because of COVID and changing the way we live. So I had a bunch of stuff preoccupying me and stress at home. So I said, you know what? Even though I'm not going down for school right now, I still need to get out of this little town and spread my wings a little bit. So I pulled the trigger and said, I need to move. And I moved, and I knew I had a roommate in Gainesville. So I said, I'm still going to move to Gainesville. So now we're living together.
Yes, in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's just us.
Yeah, it's just us in this apartment, and that's great for a podcast setting.
Yeah, honestly.
We're
just kind of in the living room on our kitchen table.
Yep. So
we literally, I think 20 minutes ago, if maybe a little bit more, we had some audio problems, and then we went and sat in my closet for 10 minutes because I have a walk-in closet here. We went and sat in there for 10 minutes trying to see if sound was better in there. It wasn't. So then we dragged everything back out here.
Yep.
So it's been a hassle, but we're the only ones here, so we can have as much hassle as we want, and no one gets to complain.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of where we are, and we were having like these late night conversations about like tons of different stuff, and we make each other laugh and like almost to the point of tears, and we were like, we have to be able to share this somehow. And obviously, we both listen to tons of podcasts. Like, shout out to Ear Biscuits.
Oh yeah,
God loves some Ear Biscuits. We love all kinds of podcasts. So, we're trying this out.
There is one thing that I'm worried about, is that Jacob and I have this way that we make each other laugh that really, I don't know if our sense of humor when we're together makes a whole lot of sense to outsiders. Like, we make
I
each other
agree.
laugh with the dumbest things, and so something we would cackle at, some people would just have no reaction to whatsoever.
You're not wrong. I mean, that's not something that's worried me. I hope
Maybe not worry is the right word, but we'll make each other laugh, and we're gonna do it here, and we're gonna have fun doing it. So
that's all that matters.
that is all that matters.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
also a little bit that matters is if we make money.
That's a little bit that matters. So now that you know a little bit of our backstory, we still want to give a proper introduction to like who we are as people a little bit. Obviously, we don't want to give everything away in the first episode, but we want to go ahead and just give you like some snappy things that you need to know. But there's a little bit of a twist.
Ooh, I like twists.
Since me and Kyle,
Call me that from now on.
Since me and Kyle already know so much about each other and already know each other so well, we've known each other for 15 years, we thought it would be fun if we both introduced each other. So I will be introducing Kyle, and he'll be introducing me, and hopefully we both give good impressions of each of ourselves.
And these most likely will be facts that the other person already knows about themselves, but we don't know what the other person is going to decide to say about us now.
We have not discussed this. We literally just said 5 things about the other person and don't tell us. So,
and this is just kind of off the cuff thoughts that we had. I'm a little worried that Jacob was nice on all of them, and I just kind of have facts here.
just facts.
I just kind of have things about you.
Mine are pretty factual.
So maybe I'll throw in another nice thing or two, but I just kind of went with my instincts of what I thought, and here we are.
Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay,
this is
cool.
something that Jacob said earlier, which I thought was really funny, so I wanted to say it too.
Okay.
Which is my number one thing here. Jacob's fit, but like, he's not.
Okay.
That's it. Because since we've been here, we started working out a good bit, it has been great. But Jacob's a strong dude, but also eats like a trash can.
I do.
It's so funny to me because like if he honestly would like hone in some sort of like specific diet, the dude would just be jacked all the time.
And why would I do that? Why would I do that?
Why would I deprive myself of delicious foods?
Exactly.
Honestly, why does anybody?
Yeah.
So I just thought that was super funny when he said it, so I want to throw it in because honestly, it was just so true. Because like I said, he's a super strong dude, but he's just he just eats like a trash can, and honestly, I respect him.
What can I say? I know myself pretty well. Maybe I should have introduced myself. Maybe I should have been the gun.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't give me the option to tell people that you eat like a trash can.
Well, I mean, I think that's plainly obvious to anyone who knows me. I eat like a garbage disposal. And you know what? I haven't really tried to commit to a diet. I've done it like maybe like 1 or 2 weeks.
It feels kind of not dumb or useless, but I don't know. I would never be able to stick to a diet. It feels like it's inevitably going to fail. At least for myself. Like if I tried to just eat salads and veggies or whatever and tried to limit my eating or whatever, I don't think I would be able to do it for more than a week.
The way you just said that made me make a realization. Like, my main excuse is, like, I can't eat the same thing, like, every day. But, like, I literally do. I eat the same 5 things every week. Like, I have pizza, I have Chick-fil-A because I work there, and I have, like, goldfish. And that's all I eat.
Well, and air-fried wings.
Air-fried chicken wings, yes, I do eat those a lot, too. I think I eat them in just too large a quantity.
Yeah, probably. Because it was a couple of weeks ago, you bought one of those, gallon cardboard boxes of goldfish.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 2 days later, it was gone or basically gone. I don't really eat. I know I didn't eat any goldfish from that tub. I don't really eat goldfish in general. But the thing was almost gone, and I was astounded that you went through this gallon box of goldfish in 2 days.
Here's the thing about goldfish. Goldfish are just like the best cracker. So,
but are they?
Okay, yes, they are.
They're not the best cracker.
And you know what? Anybody who says any flavor goldfish is good, is a crackhead. Because, like, they're not.
No, they're not good.
They're not. I like the
I
regular
agree.
ones. And I don't even like the extreme ones. Those are gross. I think the best flavor goldfish is the regular one. And I'm not a very vanilla guy when it comes to eating. I like different things. And I like, different textures and different flavors. Like, I like trying the new Dorito or the new Lay's chip. But I really, really like regular goldfish for some reason.
Do you like the rainbow goldfish?
Yeah, because they don't taste any different. And
Right.
like colors.
Honestly couldn't remember, but I'm sure you've had them recently.
I've had them a billion times. They taste great too. I like the colors. I like the purple goldfish in the colored goldfish.
Right.
Because they remind me of purple potatoes. I don't know why, but they do. So yeah. Do you want to just go back and forth, or do you want to?
Yeah, we'll go back and forth.
Okay, cool. So my first fact about Kyle.
Let's hear it.
Is I just wrote super smart engineer.
Oh wow, that is nice.
Yeah. Kyle is stupidly intelligent, and stupidly is used in like a
an exaggeratory way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like too intelligent for your own good. like
I don't know if that's an insult or not.
Like, so Kyle is studying to be an engineer. Obviously, we've already mentioned that.
True.
Which is already a huge thing. But in general, you're just so well rounded. Like, okay, Kyle is good at sports.
Oh wow, this is all in the fact of a smart engineer.
Yeah, well, it is, and I think it's part of my second one too. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the first one.
Okay.
Because you're good at sports. You're good. You're smart. Like, you're book smart, and you're like musically talented too. So here you have like this crazy triple threat who's like super intelligent and everything, but lacks like some, and not all, some common knowledge. Like some simple things you lack. And I think it's funny because you have like this wealth of knowledge in your head, and you just like sometimes you blunder, and I'm like, oh, this person can fail. Like, that's a thing? I don't know.
It's true. I can't blow a bubble with gum. That's my common knowledge that I lack. I don't
didn't
know how.
that until now.
I do not know how.
You really can't?
I have tried so many times. Matter of fact, I forget how long ago this was, but Sarah and I forget who else was there. We were sitting on my living room floor for maybe 2 hours, and she had all this gum, and she was like, "You're gonna learn how to do this."
What?
And I could not for the life of me. We had like Double Bubble and Trident and all these different types of gums. I couldn't do it with any of them. And this came up recently with somebody, and they were like, "Do you know how to like blow the rings underwater?" And I know how to do that.
Huh.
Like, I managed to do it a couple years ago at this lake that my family goes to. I think I'd seen a video recently, and I was like, "Oh, I want to try."
Yeah.
And so I did, and I just kind of, moved my mouth in a certain way, and it made a ring. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I can do that now." And then someone was like, "If you know how to do that, you know how to blow a bubble with gum." Apparently, they're the same motion. They're not. I tried afterward. That's not a thing.
If you ever want to know what it's like to be Kyle, just try to remember the feeling of when you tried something for the first time and you got it right the first time. That's how Kyle feels all the time.
That's not true.
And that is 100% true.
That's like 70% true.
I'm telling you. And as someone who just fails at everything pretty much, like, this, it's weird to have a best, not weird, but it's I've gotten used to it at this point.
This is a thing that me and Jacob disagree on. Not verbally usually, but that we just disagree on in general. He'll always tell people this thing that I am Jacob 2.0. And that really bugs me because it's just him putting himself down and putting me on this pedestal that I really don't want to be on.
Well, it's true though. Like you're me, but just a little bit taller, a little bit more handsome, a little bit more smarter. Like, everything you are, you're just a little bit better than me at. Like, I always use the example of like Smash Brothers. Like, Smash Brothers isn't a game that requires a ton of skill. It's just you gotta like learn how to do combos and like do them fast and like move your character around. We probably played what, like 450 rounds of Smash?
Probably something like that.
I won 6.
And I think 4 of those were with your Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, 4 of those.
I can't handle Banjo-Kazooie. I don't know how to do it.
And like I mean, not that I'm just like bad at Smash. I'm not great, but Kyle's just good. He's just good at everything.
Just get good, kid. You'll beat me one day.
Yeah, I've been practicing. So thanks. So let's go ahead and move along. Kyle's good at everything.
We talked about food, and this is just a preference that he has that I don't. Jacob loves spicy food.
I do.
He is a fiend for spicy. Anything that will just punish his butt afterwards, he will eat and enjoy it the entire time.
Yeah.
And nope.
Yeah, I wasn't always this way either. When I was younger, I was extremely picky. I used to have like this propensity to. I don't remember what I used to eat. 'Cause like some kids like they only eat like string cheese, or they only eat like one thing. I don't remember what it was that I ate. It probably was peanut butter and jelly.
I definitely ate a lot of PB&J.
Which now I can't really stand. Like I can't like, not that I can't stand it, but I can't eat like grape jelly anymore.
Oh, I still love it.
I don't know, but
PB&J with some Ruffle sour cream and cheddar chips. Oh.
Regardless, I think when I became a teenager and I started like experimenting more with foods and like deciding kind of what I liked, wings became one of those things really quickly that I began to like. And as I started making my own sauce and I started making it more and more hot, I really started to like pushing the upper limit of spicy food. Like eating peppers became no problem. I can't have pizza with that like red pepper flake on it. Like I gotta.
No, see, I can't do. No, I mean red pepper flakes aren't really spicy to me or anything, but I just don't. They don't enhance the taste of pizza for me. They just kind of exist.
Like if I have like a cold cut sandwich, I want the buffalo version of the meat. Like I don't want like the regular meat. I put buffalo sauce on it. I use buffalo sauce as like my ketchup. Like it just, I don't know, man. That's just the way I am. And I hope that doesn't create any long-term problems, because that's going to suck if I can't eat hot sauce when I'm like 30.
You act like long-term is when 30 hits and long-term problems start. 30's not that far.
At the rate I eat hot sauce, though, like that could create some serious issues. Like if someone drank beer at the rate I eat hot sauce, they would die.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like
they would need to go to a meeting, but they wouldn't make it.
The proportions, are obvious. I think that would, I think that's the way it's going to go, but hopefully not. We'll see.
Yeah. And I'm the opposite.
Yeah. I've tried to wean Kyle into some hot stuff. Like, I don't know. I haven't really like pushed anything on you, but I've just been like trying to like make some weaker sauces. And you're like, no.
And this isn't the case, but used to the mild at Buffalo Wild Wings, too spicy for me. I used to not be able to do that. I can do that now, but even now, like I can feel it, and I don't enjoy it as much as I just enjoy a teriyaki wing.
And it's really interesting. Like the science behind that's pretty surprising, because like from what I understand, like the basic rudimentary science of like spicy food, like it's not like spice is not the same for everybody.
Right.
Like it literally just isn't the same. It's like, okay, a chili pepper to me tastes fine, but to you it'll hurt more for some unknown reason.
Right.
That it's not like, oh, you're just a baby, you need to get used to it. It literally just hurts some people. And that's interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, hit me up. Second fact about me.
Oh, I forgot it's my turn. I put this on the list because I do think it's part of your personality.
Okay.
You're a man of many board games.
That's true.
Whenever I go shopping for you for like birthdays or Christmas, board games is normally or card games is like normally the number one thing I think of when I go looking for you.
Yeah, my mom does the same thing. If she goes Christmas shopping, she's like, clothes and board games. That's it.
Is that why you have so many board games? Just because people just keep buying them for you?
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I don't remember the last board game that I bought for myself, or just card game or tabletop game.
Right.
And most of the time at this point, it's like I saw a new game, and like when I first played Liar's Dice for the first time, this was years ago, and I was like, I told my mom, this game is so much fun and so competitive. And I honestly don't know if it gets sold anymore. But this game is cool,
Yeah.
and I want it. And then Christmas rolled around, and I got Liar's Dice, and I was like, cool, I have a new board game. Or like someone bought me Super Fight a couple Christmases ago because I had talked about it, playing it with Ricky and all them.
Yep.
So yeah, at this point, I don't remember the last game that I bought for myself. Most of the games that I own are things that people have bought for me just because I love board games and tabletop games.
Yeah. I grew up with a family that didn't abstain from board games, but didn't play them often until we became much older. And we have extended family who loves playing cards. So whenever we would go up there, we played board games and play card games and stuff like that. And like, it became like a treat to us almost.
Yeah.
Like if we ever the only reason I know how to play Monopoly is because we played it like one time. Like we didn't play it often.
Oh, we played so much.
And that's
You would not be able to. I could not count the times that we played a Monopoly game and just had it sitting on the kitchen table for days, just trying to finish it when everyone was around and play for a couple hours and then just leave it there and always eat dinner in the living room because we weren't moving that Monopoly game till it was done.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we did play like games later on, and I think one of the main reasons we didn't play as much is because my dad would just pwn us all. Like if we played Trivial Pursuit, forget it. Like
your dad is good at board. Like we played Werewolf, however long ago at y'all's place.
But the thing is about Werewolf is like he's an investigator. He knows when people are lying.
But that's the thing. He's just got a clever mind, and Werewolf had helped him tremendously.
Right.
So your dad, do you have a favorite game at the moment? Card, tabletop, board game, whatever.
Werewolf hasn't gotten old yet. I really like Werewolf.
Werewolf's so good.
I also, I have always been a longtime fan of Clue.
I haven't played Clue in so long.
Me neither, but I think that's like one of the first board games I think of, and it's like an interesting mystery game, and like I think that's like it's just such a classic that's what I think of when I think of board games. I'm sure if I thought about it hard enough, I could think of more that I like more.
Right.
Speaking of board games, before I forget, we need to play Catan, and we need to buy Catan.
We do. Like I said, I have Catan, but I think it's back home right now. I can grab it after I go home.
Yeah, let's do that because I feel like we're missing out. Okay.
I love Catan. I've played it many, many times.
Yeah.
I think right now, since we've played it a couple times, Liar's Dice is like up on my top of the list right now, just because we played it a lot recently.
Just because I just revered Clue. Screw Clue. Risk is my favorite game.
Oh, Risk. I love Risk. I didn't realize that was your favorite though.
It's definitely my favorite, and that's when I was with my extended family up in PA. We would play until like 3:00 in the morning, and that was some of the best times I remember playing was then with them.
Risk is so good. It's also such a long game, same as Monopoly.
Yep. So Risk is definitely my favorite game.
Okay. All right. I got number 3 for you.
Number 3.
This one goes to your personality itself.
Okay.
Jacob, excuse me. Jacob is incredibly nice to just everyone, and I feel like sometimes it's too nice.
Yeah. And
not in a bad way, but just in a way that hurts him physically sometimes.
Yep, that's probably true.
But Jacob, like, you would never catch Jacob getting angry at a stranger if the stranger did something just that they were in the wrong and like got in his way or bumped him or you know what I'm saying. Just he wouldn't get angry at a stranger like some people would. Now, at the same time, Jacob is also someone that will get angry at a stranger if that person is attacking or hurting verbally or physically any person that he cares about or someone that's his friend. Like, if you're a friend of Jacob's and you're around him and someone just starts verbally abusing you, Jacob will stand up for you. Jacob's not really afraid of confrontation for other people. Like, if someone needs to be confronted and needs to be confronted, he will confront that person.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't need to, he's going to be insanely nice to that person. It's opposite ends of the spectrum.
And I think to add on to that, even when I confront that person, probably still going to be kind of nice.
Excuse me, sir. Could you please just?
I mean,
not.
I may start out like firm and like, hey, but
is that your definition of firm?
Well, like I don't
Hey.
know, like
You.
I may start out like, let's just say angry, for lack of a better term, but eventually it will turn nice. Like I've had to deal with customers like that before.
Right.
Like when either when they get upset or when like something's wrong and I can't control it. I've had to like come across as firm and like just firm and like there's a word I'm missing, but stern.
Yeah.
Like come across very stern and then like cool the situation down
With your niceties.
with my niceties. I've had to do that a couple of times, and I've gotten pretty good at it. But yeah, I would consider myself one of nicer people.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
Like, who do you think's nicer than me? Like, there's definitely people who are.
What that I know, or just in the broad spectrum of humanity, who's nicer than you?
In the broad spectrum of humanity.
I don't know, because I can't exactly speak for celebrities or whatever, because I only know them of what I've seen of them.
Okay, but Paul Rudd gave cookies out to people voting in line. So, like...
So he's
Paul
probably
Rudd,
nicer than you.
Paul
yeah.
Rudd's... I think it's safe to say Paul Rudd is probably nicer than me.
Well, he gave people cookies, so he has to be. But if you gave somebody cookies, you could probably give him a run for his money.
Okay.
But I've never seen you give strangers cookies.
So next election, I'm baking a bunch of cookies.
You're gonna wait 4 years to try and give Paul Rudd a run for his money?
Well, he gave it to them in the election, like in the voting line. So I gotta like, maybe I should give them something else.
So then you give it to people in the hospital. One up him. That's way nicer than just giving it to people who are standing around fully
I just go
healthy.
door to door, like someone's just like on their deathbed. I'm like, hey, you want a cookie?
I'm real nice.
Get it on camera. That's so funny. Yeah, I've been told that before. I think it's just the way I was raised. But it's funny also. I do have. I mean, let's just put it this way. My sister and I differ in a lot of different ways. Like,
100%.
I think that she can be nice. A lot of times she doesn't choose to be nice. I think it's more around people she's closer to that she doesn't choose to be nice to, rather than like strangers.
And I think that's the case for a lot of us. Really, anyone that was raised semi decently is gonna have a propensity to be nice to strangers.
Manners.
Because that is the default tone that you should take with strangers is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then people you're close to, if they upset you, you get to be a little
Testy.
A
little testy.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Because I don't want to hang on that word to your number 3.
My number 3. We can talk about this on the first podcast.
Okay.
We talked about this a little bit earlier. I have a theory that Kyle doesn't poop.
What? Wait. What? Okay, I know where you're going with this. Go on.
Okay. So, since we moved in together, one of the first things we bought, obviously, together was toilet paper. We went to the Walmart. We bought a bunch of stuff, but we bought toilet paper. We bought one of those smaller packs. First of all, I underestimated how much toilet paper I used. And I think I overestimated how much toilet paper a normal human uses. I guess I'm probably the extreme case.
I think you're on the extreme end.
Yeah. So, to put it into perspective, we moved in together in August, and it is now November.
Middle of August, and now it's the middle of November.
In fact,
beginning, middle of November.
It's almost been 3 months exactly, right?
Yes, almost 3 months exactly. We're a couple days shy of 3 months.
So, when we moved in together, we each split the roll of 6 toilet paper rolls, 3 each.
Right.
We were just talking today, and Kyle is still on his third roll of toilet paper.
I am pretty sure that the one I'm currently using is roll number 3.
I've had to buy. I bought like a huge 20 pack because I just burned through the first 3 within I don't know, a couple weeks maybe.
It was so quick.
Probably
it was
less
so
than that.
quick.
It probably was cheap toilet paper too, to be honest.
I mean, it's 2 or more ply. That crap is soft. It's nice toilet paper.
Anyways,
I ain't gonna lie.
but to keep going with this wonderful conversation we're having, I think Kyle is purposefully throwing away toilet paper to stave off or blowing his nose, but isn't pooping.
Okay. I can with hard clarity say that I definitely poop.
You know,
I think you overestimate how much a single person needs to get clean enough with the amount of toilet paper needed. I think you overestimate the need.
I think with my case, with my butthole, let's say.
Oh, good. This is podcast number 1, ladies and gentlemen.
It's so hard for me to get clean. I have to take at least 3 different trips down there, down to the land where no one has ever seen. I have to take
you personally make a trek down there
3 or 4 times before I feel clean, and then I normally take 1 more because
just for posterity.
Well, not for posterity. It's just I don't feel clean, and if I don't feel clean, I probably don't smell clean. So I'd rather do that than smell like poop.
All right, fair. But for me, 4 sheets, a wipe, and then a second go at it to just make sure you're all good on a normal drop of the deuce is typically enough.
That's something I consistently struggle with.
That's such a weird thing to struggle with.
It is, and especially as a 22-year-old man, I probably shouldn't be struggling with this at this point. Maybe you're out there and you feel my pain. Maybe we'll see.
All right, number 4 about Jacob, and we semi mentioned it in passing. But my boy Jacob is a big old theater nerd.
Mm-hmm.
Loves all kinds of musicals, is a singer and dancer himself, and that's just his jam. If we're not listening to straight up music, we'll listen to musicals because I love him as well, but he knows so much more about musical theater than I do and listens to so many more musicals than I do. That's just that's his thing. That's a whole portion of him now.
I still haven't been to a Broadway show.
Yeah, neither of us have, which is super unfortunate. And neither of us really cared about theater or musical theater until the middle of high school.
Yeah.
Late high school.
I'll say this. I don't want to say Hamilton got me into theater. I listened to a few soundtracks and stuff like that before then. But yeah, I think Hamilton was one. I was already acting in theater before I even listened to Hamilton, but I wasn't listening to soundtracks every day and absorbing as much as I could before Hamilton. I think that was one of the main things that really solidified my love of theater.
No, it was for me too, because our senior year of high school, we were both dating different people that were super into musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I even auditioned for the spring musical that we were doing is because my girlfriend at the time she wasn't my girlfriend yet. I had a super big crush on her. And she was like, you have to try out for this musical. And I was like, oh, I'm so going to do that. And so I did. And matter of fact, the Christmas break before, when we were all just really good friends at the time,
mm-hmm.
you were already dating your girlfriend at the time. I wasn't dating mine yet. I'm just not name dropping. I don't know why.
We've already named up 4 different people, but it's okay.
And I was going to my cousin's wedding. This is December of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, you have to listen to Hamilton. You have to listen to Hamilton. Hamilton's so good. Hamilton's so good. And so the whole ride to Texas and the whole way back, the only thing I did, I had a Hamilton in my headphones, and I was just memorizing the lyrics to all the songs because I just desperately wanted to impress this girl. So Hamilton for sure definitely is the thing that got me super into musical theater.
Mhm.
And then past that, like she was about to do a duet from Dogfight, and so I started listening to that. And so I started getting into all these different musicals, and then you were showing me some because you had been in it for a little bit. So it was about senior year that like I just got super into musical theater out of nowhere, and I still am.
Yeah. I had like I said, my girlfriend at the time actually made me CDs that were musical soundtracks.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, because my car at the time was like a 2000 Saturn station wagon, which didn't have Bluetooth or a new radio in it at all. It only had a CD drive. So she literally burned me CDs like we were, dating in the 90s. Like literally. And I listened to a lot of musicals through there. Eventually, when I got a newer car, I started listening to musicals on my rides to work, and yeah, I probably have like 100 musicals in my iTunes now, and it's so hard to keep track of the ones I've listened to and ones I haven't. I've just downloaded a bunch of them. But yeah, musical theater has been something that even since high school, I've been wanting to be an actor and be on stage singing and dancing. So hopefully that dream comes true. That's the only thing I see myself doing. It's the only thing that I ever feel like I fully enjoy is entertaining other people.
Yeah, and it's like actually had enjoy, but also been super passionate about, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the only thing. Like we were even talking about like if I was going to be in a STEM career. What would I? What
would you even do?
What would I even do? And we went through like all of them. And I was like, can't do that. Nope. Too much math. Nope. Like we kept like going through it. And it was so true.
Of course, we landed on geology, but that's a joke of a science.
Right. Yeah. It was so funny. We were talking about it, and we were like, yeah, you can't do this, can't do that, can't do that, and like you had mentioned geology, and I was like, you know what? I actually like that geology class I took in college, and you were like, oh yeah, geology sucks. I was like, what do you mean? Like.
It's awful.
We need geology. I think geology is necessary.
I'm sure we need it, but I couldn't care less. I could not care less about geology.
I think it was an interesting class. I think I didn't take a geology class. I took an earth science class, and geology was a huge part of it. So
it just bores me so much. But to each his own.
To each his own. Yeah.
All right, hit me with it. Number 4.
Well, since I kind of joined 2 of them together, I'm gonna make up one on the spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make one up too. I'm not gonna use my 5th that I have here.
No. Okay, cool. We can talk about Harry Potter.
Okay.
Because Harry Potter,
that came out of nowhere.
Well, it's something that I think you are also a huge fan of, and I think
love Harry Potter.
I think from what I remember, you weren't allowed to watch it as a kid.
No, so I wasn't allowed to watch or read Harry Potter as a kid. I grew up Christian, and I still am Christian. But as a kid, it was no Harry Potter. Like I couldn't watch Wizards of Waverly Place. Those things that had to do with wizardry and witchcraft, we just weren't allowed to watch. And then at some point, I forget how old I was, but my mom got us the Harry Potter movies for Christmas. She was like, you're old enough now. This isn't going to influence you and make you try and go stir up a cauldron filled with horse hair and urine. And I was like, yeah, that's a fair point, Mom. So she let us have the Harry Potter movies. But I really wanted to watch them. And none of my siblings or mom really wanted to watch them, and I didn't really want to watch them alone. But I knew that I wanted to be part, and I didn't watch those movies for like a year and a half. We had them for so long, and I didn't watch them. And now, as I'm telling this, I'm realizing how much of my current personality is based off of my high school relationship. But the first time I watched the Harry Potter movies was because of my high school girlfriend. She is the one that, like I said, I had the Harry Potter movies and never seen them, and she was the one that said, we are going to sit down and watch all those movies because you are going to love them. I was like, all right, you're probably right. Let's do it. And for some reason, my mom forgot to buy the Half-Blood Prince, so we had to wait a little bit until we got that movie. So, like, you can see our movies. They're all just normal DVD, except for the Half-Blood Prince. It's Blu-ray, and it's this tiny DVD case, and it's just funny. It's middle and stupid. But matter of fact, this mic is resting on top of my stack of my Harry Potter books. Yeah. Because the mic stands we have are kind of low, and so this Harry Potter book stack is the perfect height for this mic to be in front of. So Harry Potter is probably one of the things I enjoy the most in life now. I read back through the series as soon as quarantine started, like in 2 weeks. I was just burning through the books.
Yeah.
And I have some of the outside books as well, like the Quidditch Through the Ages book and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And
You also had the Cursed Child too, right?
So I borrowed that from a friend, but I did read it.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have that book. But yeah, Harry Potter I love Harry Potter. If I were ever gonna get a tattoo, probably my first tattoo I would get would probably be Harry Potter themed. Most likely.
It's crazy. I had a kind of a similar experience. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I was in middle school, we had to rent a library book. And for some reason, I just picked the first Harry Potter book. I just grabbed it and put it in my house, and I never read it. And one of the teachers got word that my library book was like 5 months overdue because he had to return them after like a week or whatever. And they sent me a letter saying you need to return your library book or get it renewed. And I was like, well, I'm going to renew it. Ha! I keep it 2 more weeks.
Beat the system.
So I renewed it, and I think that night I must have gotten grounded or something. I didn't have my phone, or I didn't have my computer or whatever. So I just started picking up the book. I was like, I'll just read this. Why not? And I read through the entire thing that night. I couldn't put it down. And that's the first book. The first book is great. It installs it's great character building.
Yeah, and it's not a super long book either. So
No.
like reading it in a night is totally feasible.
I mean, for me though, like I wasn't reading anything. So it was a big thing. And I went back to the library, and immediately the next day I was like, I need all these books.
Yeah.
Like I went through and burned through them. And that was like 5 years probably before you even watched the first movie. So
yeah, it's since I only watched the first movie, I guess that was senior year. I guess I've been super into Harry Potter for 5 years now, probably close to 5 years.
I'd say I'm somewhat of a casual fan. But it's also funny. I still think the idea that a book about like friendship and relationships and like I guess kind of puberty, like and like the way you face your fears and like all those like good themes is somehow horrible because they use wands and magic. Like I don't understand that. And even as a kid I was like, what is wrong with wizards? Like I don't understand what's the deal. Like I guess for some people like that's just their thing, but
yeah, well, it comes from a place where like people in terms of in Christianity and why we weren't allowed to watch it, it comes from a place of people in biblical times actually performing trying to do spells like wizard and witchcraft or whatever, and it was kind of seen as satanic worship. And not that these stories of great themes but they have wands in their hands are bad, but they hear the word wizard and witchcraft and they're like, we're not looking into it. It's the word wizard and witchcraft. We'll just leave it out of their lives for a little bit until they're more mature. So it is weird, but also I'm not mad about it.
Well, like what could Harry Potter do to like a 10-year-old Kyle? You know what I mean? Like what is like that's like one of the least harmless things.
I think that's something that like because you have to remember this is our parents and grandparents making these decisions for us when we're kids.
Yeah.
Now I think the world and even the Christian world is at a place where when people our age start to have kids at some point, that's not something that we're going to be worried about at all. Mm-hmm. We're in some, I don't want to call it progressive state of mind, but we're in some state of mind now where we're fairly confident that if we show our children Harry Potter, they're not going to immediately try to attempt witchcraft and by proxy start worshiping Satan. Like that's not something that we're going to be worried about. But I think the older generations possibly were, or that was something that they were just taught and just rolled with.
It's also crazy that Harry Potter's still on like a no read list in some libraries where like you can't read it at all.
I know that I'm kind of sad at the no read list that came out a couple weeks or months ago or something. Like Kite Runner got put on a no read list.
Fahrenheit 451.
I
the
know.
Book about burning books. Are you kidding me? Like that's so stupid.
But Kite Runner is probably one of my favorite books of all time. It's such a good book, and I was really sad that it got put on the no read list.
It's like all the books about like rebellion and like learning about that kind of stuff. It just
and I know Kite Runner has sort of like an adult theme that happens pretty early on and kind of sits with him throughout the rest of the book. But I wasn't reading that until senior year anyway. Like, if you're not mature enough to read about this theme that you need to learn, because did you read Kite Runner?
No, I didn't.
There's something that happens, and which I won't spoil it in case you or anyone else ever reads it, but something happens to the guy who's narrating the book as a kid, and it just sits there in the back of his mind for years, and like 20 years later, he's like given an opportunity to reconcile what he did wrong all those years ago as a kid. Whereas when he was a kid, if he had just kind of come out and told the truth, or just stood up for his friend in the moment, then he wouldn't have had to deal with these repercussions of what was happening in his brain and just the sadness he felt all the time for 20 some odd years if he had just done what was right in the moment.
Wow.
And it's such a cool theme. And now it's on a no read list, and I love that book.
It's weird. That's awesome. Yeah, man.
All right, is it my turn for the last one?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Okay. I switched it up last minute just because I happened to think about it while we were talking. Jacob here is an incredibly hard worker. That's also just part of who he is. I'm not even really sure if it's because of how he was raised or because of the church setting that we grew up in. But like when we were in church, for instance, if things needed to be broken down or set up for an event, Jacob's there. He's setting up chairs and rolling out tables. Or like when he's at his job, he's always got managers commending him for the hard work that he's doing, or wanting him to upgrade his status at his job so that he has more responsibilities, because people know that he can handle more responsibilities. The man works hard when he has to, and even when he doesn't have to, just if not in an effort to please others, just to make sure something's done.
I'll say this about my hard work. I mean, because I have been told that a billion times. I do feel like I am one of the world's worst procrastinators, though. Like, I don't know, man. Like I think when it comes to what I have to do, I know like I need to get it done, and I'll do it, and I have no issue with that. Like if I'm working, or if I'm working for a boss, I know how to impress a boss. I know how to, talk the way I need to talk, or do the things I need to do in the right way.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to like creating, or like if I'm in a play, studying my lines, I procrastinate. Like I just
sorry, the face you made really caught me.
Like I do. I feel bad because I know I have like this determination. Like I want to do it, but like I don't know. I feel like I need to be in the moment working. If I'm like at my house working or in my room, I get distracted too easy.
Yeah, for sure.
I do feel like you, on the other hand, when it comes to your school, there's like no upper limit to what you can do. Like
there definitely is, and I'm finding that more and more as I go through my degree, especially with some of the classes I'm in now. But I differ from you in that sense when it comes to doing schoolwork. I'm pretty good about slotting my time and spreading things out and doing homework over time right before it's due. Now, when it comes to like you said, like when it comes to creating, even for this, I wanted so badly to procrastinate this. Like we had scheduled today to record, and we were both super excited about it because it's the first time. But we got in here and we got back from me getting my haircut, and I looked at all the equipment and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to procrastinate this, and just I want to figure out all kinds of different things before I do this. But then the second we stepped in, I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to be here.
Yeah, I think that's part of life in general, is like you have to kind of like, instead of like dipping your feet in, you kind of have to jump into it.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like that's just the way things are. And I think as far as like work ethic goes, you can work as hard as I can. Like I can. Like I think we both are hard workers.
For sure.
Like I don't think the way I do things is different or better than you. I think you are more determined in different areas than I am.
I was just about to say, I think we both have a certain work ethic when it comes to an area that we know we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Like trying to figure out this sound earlier, for instance, we were having some audio problems. I knew that I could figure this out, either with some decent Google searches or just looking at the words on the screen and trying to figure out what they meant. I knew that I could figure this out, and so I was just sitting here, and I wasn't going to stop until I figured it out. And that's just the work ethic I have. But if it were, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but for something that I just don't think I'd be able to figure it out, my work ethic would probably just die.
Yeah.
Like, because I love to learn new things and try and figure things out. But if it's just something that I know is out of the realm of my skill at the time, I'm probably just not going to try.
Yeah. Interesting. So, we're on the last thing.
Let's do it. What's my number 5?
This is off the dome. So This is kind of about me, but it's about you.
Well, that's selfish.
It is selfish, but
well, it's half selfish.
Yeah, I think it's not unfair to say you have watched a numerous amount of movies.
That's true.
In fact, you in your childhood home have not you specifically, your family has a humongous collection of just DVDs.
That's true.
Like you have shelves and shelves. Whereas I consider myself to not be cultured in that way. The thing is, I love movies. I love watching movies probably more than anything.
You do love movies.
But I just haven't seen them. And I think it's part of like the Christian background and part of procrastination, I guess, or just not having time or not having downtime to watch movies. I guess I just haven't seen a lot of classic movies, and you have.
I have seen a good bit, and I think after, I don't really know what age, but at some point I was like, there are so many movies that I know so many people have seen that I have just not seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to sit down and watch a lot of them, and just kind of throughout time, I have. And this brings up an interesting topic that we had a conversation about months ago with my older brother. My older brother is under the impression that he has easily seen 1,000 movies. Now, I think I've seen a lot of movies, but I do not think that he or I have seen upwards of 1,000 movies. My little brother is probably the closest. I don't think even he has seen 1,000+ movies. He's probably very close, though.
Yeah, I think like 1,000 is a lot of hours.
And
you just don't have that kind of downtime.
It is a lot of hours, and I'm sure throughout all of our lifetime, we have definitely had that many hours of downtime to spend watching movies. But I don't spend all my downtime watching movies. Mm-hmm. We've been here for an hour and 2 minutes, and we're not watching a movie. We're doing this. But if I had to guess, my number would probably be somewhere in the 600s or maybe 500s, if I had to guess. But there's no way to check that.
And that's at this point. Like, we're only in our 20s. Like if we were in our 40s, okay, that might be a little bit different.
Yeah, that might be a different story.
But, like, at our 20s, like, there's just no way. Like, okay, let's just put it into perspective, right? Let's say you've seen all the Pixar movies, all the Harry Potter movies, all the, like, Marvel movies that just came out. And
you're looking at, like, 40 movies there.
That's
50.
40. Like, that's a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably like, I mean, rough math. 300 hours?
Something like that. Well, if it's about 50 movies, then you're probably looking at somewhere closer to like 100 to 150 hours.
Yeah, that's okay. That was way too much for me. But regardless, like, that kind of downtime, it just doesn't happen. Like, I seriously think, like, for me, and this is going to shock some people, maybe
let's find out.
Maybe 175 to 200.
And honestly, maybe not even that many.
I mean, I can probably. The thing is, there's not like a list of movies somewhere where you can just
That's the
go
problem.
Through.
We can't go through all the production companies or just the list of movies that exist and just scroll through and be like, seen it, nope, seen it. That would take
there for hours.
Legitimately an infinite amount of time, I think.
Yeah, so we can't do that. So we just kind of have to roughly guesstimate, which sucks. But that's something I think that kind of also defines your personality, a wealth of movie knowledge.
Yeah, I've also watched, I think, a lot more TV than you.
That's true. Also, I think that you have this really high regard for TV, and I don't. I don't like TV that much.
I love sitcoms. I know a lot of people now, for some reason, are just like not the fan of sitcoms because they can be cheesy or whatnot. But things like, even the older ones, especially like Seinfeld, Friends is my top. I know that's a little basic, but I've watched Friends like 14 times. Friends, Seinfeld, King of Queens, stuff like that. I love those shows. And newer ones like Big Bang Theory. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine is so funny. The Office, obviously, Parks and Rec. Those are incredible TV shows. I have not watched a lot of drama 45-minute episode TV. I watched a good bit of Supernatural.
I didn't know that.
Like probably the first 6-7 seasons, and then eventually I just stopped and never went back, and I probably never will.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Criminal Minds.
You just finished Game of Thrones.
I did just finish Game of Thrones, which was so hard. Only because, again, we've been talking about the fact that I'm a Christian, and obviously, if you know anything about Game of Thrones, it's very famous for just some of its explicit content.
Yeah.
So, like, half the time, I was just there, like, with my eyes closed, just listening to the words being said so I could know the storyline. But just, like, I think I just have this draw to be a part of whatever is popular in culture. Like, and I don't desperately need to, but all I heard about the first 4, 5, 6 seasons of Game of Thrones is that it's some of the best TV that existed, and I just wanted to be a part of it, and so I watched it. And it is incredibly good TV.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, also, I need to go back for a little bit. We were talking about movies. This bugs the absolute bejesus out of me. There are a couple of friends that I had back home, and I noticed this when I was younger. They don't alphabetize things. And that bugs me so much. Like the huge movie shelf that we have is alphabetized.
Yeah.
So if we want to watch a movie, we go, it's right there because that's where the B's start, and then that's where it ends. So it's somewhere in there. But some people just have their movies just kind of laying about just in dressers, or like their games or whatever for PlayStation, Xbox, whatever. They're just kind of in shelves, not organized in any way. And then sometimes they'll just kind of throw a disc in an empty case if it's there and not have it in the right. Oh, that bugs the absolute crap out of me.
I don't know how I had to go make a list of 5 things about you and didn't mention your OCD at all. Like, you're so OCD about some stuff, man.
I know. I don't. And I'm not going to say that I actually have OCD because I don't really know what constitutes having it and what doesn't.
I don't think you do either.
Because I don't. It's a whole thing that I don't truly understand. But I am super picky about very specific things.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I do not care if my bed is made. Like, that, who cares? It's just going to sit there.
That's fair.
For all of my life, my mom was like, make your bed so that I get in the habit of it. I didn't. Because, gross. It's like 5 seconds that I don't need to spend. But your movies better be alphabetized. Like, whenever I'm in my own place or whatever, family or not, whatever happens to me later in life, wherever my movies are, if I still have physical copies of movies, I don't know what the future is, they're going to be alphabetized.
Yeah.
Or if
better be.
my set of digital movies just on the screen or whatever, like, they're not just kind of going to be there so I can just search it. They're going to be alphabetized, and I'm going to scroll through and go find it.
Yeah, I think that's not uniquely you. Like, you're not the only one who does that.
No.
But I think that is part of your personality, is being that kind of, for lack of a better word, anal about certain things like
for
that.
Sure.
Having things organized, having things in a specific order. Sometimes I think there's other things that you are kind of lax about, like you said, making your bed or certain other things. But yeah, that about wraps it up for us, I think.
Yeah, that's all the ways we had to introduce each other, I think.
But we are going to mention the name of the show. Why are we calling the show
right.
Milk and Screams?
That's a great question.
Because that's an interesting name, and it's a name that we kind of struggled to put together for a while. We wanted to have a name for the podcast before we put it out. Why Milk and Screams? Well, for lack of a better word, it basically describes us.
Yeah, for sure. So, and we also figured out this name a week and a half ago.
True,
maybe.
Just to tell you how fast we put this together. Like, this has been a week and a half.
It was recent. Like, we started talking about doing a podcast again, and then we thought, what would we name it? And we were throwing around some names, and we didn't really land on one. The next day, Jacob said Milk and Screams, because we were throwing around things about milk and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
that's my blood. Like, if I could replace my blood with milk, I would.
Kyle
I
drinks an obscene amount of milk.
like the amount of goldfish that Jacob goes through in 2 days is the amount of milk that I go through in 2 days. I burn through milk.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but we still let it. We still let it slide.
I love it. And Jacob is one of those people with just an unnaturally loud voice. Like, when he's gonna scream, it's going to be insanely loud, just for no reason. And matter of fact, our youth pastor had nicknamed him Yeller at some point, and that's like his social handle as well. And I recently changed the thing I use on my gamer tag to 98% milk. So, like, it's even in part of our tags now as well, because that's just, like, a big part of who we are.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that milk is a big part of me, but it is.
It really is. Like if you know anything about Kyle, you probably know that he drinks a lot of milk. If you've been around him, like, he'll drink milk with spaghetti, or he'll drink milk.
And, anything with red sauce, milk is so good with it.
See, and
I'm
that's
serious.
where I start drawing the line.
I don't like soda. People always drink soda with pizza, and it's great. Go drink a glass of milk with a slice of pizza. If you can have red sauce on it, I'll tell you what, you won't go back. If you're anything like me, you won't go back.
I think they will go back, definitely. So yeah, that's why we named it Milk and Screams.
And like we were
us.
saying, how fast it came together. The next day, he was like, Milk and Screams, and we were both like, that's a great name. And then later that same day, Jacob had been doing research a lot that day about what podcast equipment a person would need for a group of two, yada, 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 because I was kind of gone all day. He was like, oh, I found this set. And he was like, I don't really have the money to buy it right now. And I was like, I do. And he goes, I mean, we can buy it right now if you want. And click. And then we bought it. The next day, after deciding, oh, we should come up with a name for the podcast. The next day, Jacob goes, here's the name. And I go, let's buy the equipment now. And then we did. And then a week later, here we are recording the first one. It was seemingly instant.
Yeah. And it kind of scared us a little bit because we didn't really know what we wanted to talk about. We really didn't know. Like, whenever I've told someone, hey, we're doing a podcast, they're like, what's it about? We're like,
just whatever, I guess.
Just whatever, anything. So, we're super excited to keep this going. I think this is going to be really fun for you.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect for this first one, but it's been an hour and 12 minutes so far. Yeah. So, I mean, this went way better and longer than I thought it was going to.
And it went pretty fast as well. So
yeah. So I think that wraps everything up, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's everything up. We hope this should be out on Sunday.
Hopefully.
So every Sunday we'll have one out. Hopefully. We'll let you know if there's going to be a schedule change or anything like that. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. And we don't really have a set way that we're exiting podcasts yet. So this is just it's just going to kind of end.
So we're going to say bye-bye.